It's 2025 already, and I can hardly believe it. Time seems to be flying by. Have you thought about what you can intentionally do this year to share your Hungarian heritage with the people in your circle of influence? We'll cover that and more in this episode of the Hungarian Living Podcast. This is episode 102. Hi, welcome to the Hungarian Living Podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Szabó-Vos. We're on a mission to help you maintain a meaningful connection to Hungarian culture and heritage in a variety of ways. We'll talk about food, travel, history, music, language, genealogy, and more. So whether you know a little or a lot about being Hungarian, this is the place to be. Hi there, it's Liz, and I'm delighted to be back with you on the podcast. If you know about what we do at the Hungarian store, you can imagine that things are really busy during the holidays, and we are shipping Hungarian goodies all around the U.S. For those of you who have purchased from us this year, last year, or any previous year, thank you for supporting our small family business. We have been serving United States Hungarian Americans or American Hungarians, however you refer to yourself as, since 1988. First, we were known as Magyar Marketing. Back in the day, it was a mail order business out of Youngstown, Ohio. My mom started the business because she could see that it was becoming increasingly difficult to pass on the heritage as communities were changing and families were not staying in the same place. She was hearing it from her friends, and she was, undoubtedly, struggling with it herself. As a single parent with 4 kids, she knew about being busy and the limited access of resources. The pace and demands of regular life competed with and often crowded out the important job of transmitting cultural heritage to the next generation. After my mom passed away, we packed it all up and moved the business to Evansville, Indiana. Then we had a few years in Bronxville, New York, which was very interesting. And then we moved back to Evansville, Indiana in 2017, and we've been here ever since. I have to say we loved our time in New York, although it was not a place we had ever planned to live long term. It was super fun to be able to explore the area of the country and learn all about the Hungarian happenings in the Northeast United States. Anyway, a quick shout out to all the lovely people who have followed us as we have traversed the country and have supported our family business in a variety of ways. We so appreciate you and your insight and support. We enjoyed the days when we were on the road, traveling to Hungarian events all around the U.S. and getting to meet customers face to face. And we still receive emails, phone calls, and letters from customers thanking us for encouraging them to keep sharing their Hungarian heritage with their family and friends, and for providing a variety of resources and ideas that help make the job easier. And honestly, we're happy to do it. It helps us keep it top of mind for our family too. This year on the podcast, I will cover some intentional ways to dig deeper into and share your Hungarian heritage with those around you. Some of these ideas you might choose to incorporate, and others you may set aside for another day, or never. My goal is to share the ideas and suggest some ways to get the job done. And you can mull them over and pick and choose what works for you. We often know what we want to do, but sometimes we need help seeing the how to get it done. You'll get that kind of encouragement here. Trust me, you won't be able to do it perfectly. Nobody can. But consistency is actually more important than perfection. There will be seasons in life where it is not practical or even possible to execute even the best of plans. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you have failed your forefathers. The easiest things to do are the things that come naturally. So, for example, I am not going to pick embroidery as my main mode of transmitting my Hungarian heritage to my people. I love it. I think it's beautiful. And I wish I had a comfort level with doing it, but I don't. At least, not yet. But at this point, I don't have enough skill to pass on anything other than an appreciation for it. And sometimes that is absolutely enough. The torch is ours to pass on. As far as my upbringing, I will say that my mom took on some opportunities that made a difference. It was something that mattered in her family and in my father's family. Taking my 3 brothers and I to Hungary as a single parent in 1973 for a semester while she studied the Kudai method was a huge undertaking. Wow. I can't even imagine it even doing it now with all the great resources that are out there. And considering my great-grandparents came to the U.S. between 1902 and 1927, there has been 100 or so years of cumulative effort into this project of passing it on. I don't know if those ancestors were thinking about their great-great-great-grandchildren, but in fact, things they did have trickled down that many generations. And I'm sure it has happened in your family as well. And it continues to trickle down in my little family. I see it when my librarian daughter lets me know about new books with the Hungarian theme, or when my husband scouts out that a local restaurant that has no Hungarian connection is offering a slice of Esterházy torta for dessert for a limited time and swings by to pick one up. I hear it when my 5-year-old grandson asks if he can have a szaloncukrot from the Christmas tree, and he pronounces szaloncukrot so nicely. Or when my granddaughter asks me to point out Hungary on the globe. Or when my son cooks Hungarian food for his friends or coworkers. Or when my daughter-in-law's mom comes over to help me make stuffed cabbage. Or when one of my daughters sings a Hungarian Christmas carol with me. Or when my other daughter takes time to create a one-of-a-kind greeting card with Hungarian folk art designs. Everyone in the family knows about their Hungarian connection, and they each express it in a different way. In 2025, I have committed to being a bit more intentional about a few things relating to my Hungarian heritage. And one of those is to cook and/or bake at least 24 Hungarian things. I don't cook Hungarian food full-time. In fact, I don't really have Hungarian food in my regular lineup. Who am I kidding? I don't even have a regular meal lineup, except that I try to have a fresh salad every day. We all have our routines, and our food routine, it really isn't anything special. And most of the time, the food really isn't Hungarian unless I intentionally decide to make something that is. So in 2024, I made stuffed peppers, stuffed cabbage, raka kumpli, dobos torta, mézes kalács, and we had our fair share of Hungarian kolbász and salami. And I'm sure I made a few other things here and there too. Some of the things this year that I'm going to make will be my favorites and will be easy for me. And others are things I haven't made in a while or haven't ever tried, but have always wanted to. And so it'll be doable for me because it's only 2 times a month. And the more of these kinds of things I can add into the rhythm of my life, the more comfortable I will be with them. So I'm going to do some practicing this year. Why don't you join me? I have a rough plan of what I want to make this year, but I'm always open to suggestions. If you have a great Hungarian family recipe for me to try, send it to me, and I would definitely consider it. I already made one of my January recipes this week because we had our neighbors over for a card game over the weekend, and I had been in the mood for sajtósrúd, which are cheese sticks. I already know that I could eat a batch all by myself, so it was important for me to have someone to share them with. And since we're hosting a goulash class on January 17th, that will be my second Hungarian dish for the month. So if you're listening to this episode before January 17th, 12 noon Eastern Time, then there's still time for you to sign up for the goulash class. There's a link in the show notes, or visit thehungarianstore.com and look for the online classes tab in the drop-down menu. In addition to cooking, I'm also committed to reading or listening to at least 12 books that are connected to Hungarian things. Aside from my Hungarian language textbook, of course. Have you read an amazing book you think I should consider as an option for this year? I would love for you to send me the title and the author. And yes, audiobooks count. If you are a movie person, you could tweak this a little bit and decide to have a movie night once a month with a film with a Hungarian connection. Believe me, there are plenty. We even have started a list of movies at HungarianLiving.com, and there's a link in the show notes. And for my big project, I'm working on my family story in a few different ways. But the biggest part of it is that I will select 12 more of the Hungarian folktales my mom translated from Hungarian to English and get them audio recorded. My main goal is to get them done for my grandchildren, which are her great-grandchildren, but also for my nieces and nephews. And I will also add them to the podcast because why not? We have 3 recorded on the podcast already, episodes 26, episode 32, and episode 42. And there's also a special story my mom wrote about Hungarian Christmas, which is episode 82. The link to all of those are in the show notes, so you can take a listen and then you'll know what you're getting yourself into or what I'm getting myself into for the rest of this year. So I have committed to quite a year of work. Be sure to follow or subscribe to the podcast and join me on the journey. In fact, you can think of the things that you would like to do and even send me a message. I'd love to hear all about what you're planning on doing. I will share my progress and resources along the way, and I hope you will share yours with me as well. So let's circle back to my opening question. Have you thought about what you can intentionally do this year to share your Hungarian heritage with the people in your circle of influence? Let's do it together. Small steps can have a big impact. What are the things that interest you? Let's dig in. And remember, we offer a variety of online classes and resources that can help you dig deeper and pass on your cultural heritage. You can check out all of our online classes at thehungarianstore.com. Look for the online classes tab. And if you are hearing this episode too late for the Gulyás class, check out the link anyway, as there is always something new coming up. We have cooking, language, music, and travel classes, and all sorts of ways to learn more about your Hungarian heritage. Next week, I'll talk about my cooking experiences, and I will share the recipes I used. I hope it inspires you to make something delicious. I hope to see you soon. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of the Hungarian Living Podcast, please share it with someone you know who loves their Hungarian heritage. And sign up for our newsletter and catalog at HungarianLiving.com. There's a link in the show notes. Special thanks to Stephen Chichek and the Animal Cannibals for the show music.